Hey guys, this is Box, and
it's Pack.
That's Pack, and welcome, welcome to MST.TV. This is part 2 of our Ultimate Counter Guide for, I guess it's for July.
Yeah, for July.
It's for July. I might have posted a bit earlier, but yeah, this is for July 2021. We're covering the first 5 matchups right now so far. It's not every single matchup. If you missed the previous part where we talk about all the intricate parts about hand trapping this format, and this is something you need to know, well, check out the previous video. And there's going to be a part 3 coming up, but it's going to be on Pack's channel. So this video, we're only going to cover some of the going first tech that are viable, and some of the more niche ones that we can actually try out right now, because it seems like spells are in right now. Spells are in, like, I mean, spells are some of the craziest cards in the game, so yeah. And we're not developing Omni Negates as much anymore.
Yep.
There's no Borload Savage. There's no real hot red, the easy combo build the Omni guy. People are going more into Appaloosa. The negations are a little bit more focused towards like one specific type of card, which makes these spells just a lot more viable. But for our matchup up across the top, let's just refresh everybody. We've got Brigades, Invoke Shadow Dogmatica, Ignister, Drytron, and Sky Striker. I know there's other matchups that I would love to talk about. I think I mentioned in the previous video, Virtual World, Prank Kids, Ultra Guys, Salads, and Zombies, and even somewhere in there, I kind of also want to talk about Dino, so who knows what that next part is going to be about. But make sure you guys go follow Pack on Twitter. Maybe give him a sub. Not Twitter. Twitch.
Twitch.
Go follow him on Twitch, or you can find him on Twitter too. But go find him on Twitch. Go give him a follow, and if you want, give him a subscribe. You will learn a lot just simply by watching his stream. He's very, very smart guy.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Tombox. And also, guys, just let us know in the comments, like, how do you guys like these type of videos? You find entertaining, informative, all that good stuff, so we can keep doing them.
Oh yeah.
Because the YCS is coming up. For those of you who don't know, July, you know, like 8th, 9th, or 10th. I forgot one of those days, but it's gonna be a pretty big event. There's gonna be a lot of people competing. A lot of like the best players are, you know, literally getting multiple setups for this. So you guys want to be as prepared as possible. So you know, this is the guide for that.
Top 16s get prize cards, yo.
Yeah, super rare prize cards.
Now they are splitting off the top 16 into their own own event, because they're likely going to be live streaming that one. That one's going to be very interesting. So yeah, if you guys want to make it onto live stream, that's one of the possible ways. So anyways, today we are going to be covering the going first tech. Let's put that in quotes. Going first tech. Across the top, we have Brigade of Invoke Shadow. We've talked about all the matchups. I think we can
just put anti-spell in every single one of these decks.
Yeah, anti-spell is so good. Like, look at all the combo, even combo or control.
Yeah.
Okay, there's less to talk about in terms of this video, because most of it is just flip it and call it a day, and there's like not as many interactions to talk about here. But
I mean, yeah, it's rough. I mean, like, maybe Trizu can kind of play through anti-spell, because like a lot of, like, they don't need like spell scars to get their engine going. Like, they have Fractal and all this stuff, but it turns off their Tenki, their Desires. If they're playing Tactics, it turns that off. It can turn off like their back row move when you're playing a trap deck, right? So I think the card is pretty insane.
Yeah,
definitely less insane.
It's just a little less insane. So we'll shrink that up. You guys can read this. Oh, it's a smaller check mark, but it's still pretty good, especially when they can't get into their engine. It's still pretty decent, but against all the other guys, okay, we're talking about like no Meltdown, no
no fusion spells, no Nadir, no Shadow fusion.
You're pretty screwed.
Pretty good.
At Ignisters, no field spell. That's pretty brutal. Drytron, we can't ritual summon. We can't Nova.
Yep. You need to like hard draw multiple names and then make Phoenix to pop it, or you make Mew Beta and try to Zeus him. So like, it's one of those matchups, but it depends on your build, like, right? Like, if you're playing multiple like Pot of Prosperities, if you're playing like Emergencies, Novas, like, it adds up. And if you don't hard draw names, it gets really awkward. It's iffy. I guess maybe that one is the more hit or miss, but Dashon do have like a lot of.
I'd say it's still good. I've died to it a couple times. I lost games because anti-spell got flipped right at the crucial moment, and I've had a handful of, like, my hand was lit. It had Nova, it had the ritual spell already. it had emergency, had a foolish burial,
Yep.
and then I'm like, all right, I got a duster. This is great. And the anti-spell got flipped on standby. I'm like, this is awful. I have to pass turn.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I
so
can't set the cards either. The problem is, if I set it, I'm getting Zeused.
Yeah. Oh, that's pure zoo. Yep. You just got simulated.
I'm like, I can't play. I'm just dead.
The way of the zoo.
So it's still pretty good. I mean, trust me.
Yeah.
Just because you don't really have a lot of quick play stuff. I mean, if Nova was a quick play, then I'd put a dash on it immediately, but that's not the case. And you do play a high ratio of spells. Striker, it's obvious. They can't activate most things.
Spell deck, guys.
But even though anti-spell is part of the equation here, do expect people to play Cosmic Cyclones, Twin Twisters, some things a bit faster. MST, yeah, even MST because Sky Strikers. TV! Sky Strikers, they can capitalize off of the MST. But yeah, that would be the first line here. Like, let's move on to the next one. DDG. I'm gonna start off with a check mark right here because they just have no follow-up from any of the Tri-Brigade monsters and nothing procs in the grave, so it's a turn skip if you do it to them. It's pretty bad. Like Shadow, them as well, they can't really do anything if you get DDG. I'm surprised. Have people actually been citing this? Because I've been trying it out myself and it's been blowing.
Yeah, it's been gaining a lot of popularity in the Striker deck. So yeah,
it's the one deck that it's kind of mediocre against.
It does nothing against Sky Striker. Like, it's absolutely terrible.
Now Drytrons can do a little thing about it, but let's go to Ignister first.
Sure, it's good. Like, it solves Splash Maze, Transcode. Like, it's really hard to like play through that and like kill your opponent. Like, you can still end on access code, but guys, surprise, it's kind of weird to make access code when you don't have link monsters in your grave. So.
And you can't pop and can't gain. You don't even activate if you have nothing in there. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's not that great. Yeah.
Drytrons. Okay. I'll explain the Drytron thing now. Drytrons, once you make them into link materials, you can toss them back into the graveyard. That is your only option. Problem is, you're gonna need a lot of names.
You have to go minus like usually one.
You have to lose because you're banishing the first body. Gamma can't revive a body either. You're really stuck. It's not recommended. It also turns off the diviner. It's pretty brutal.
I mean, like, if they somehow just pass with only DDG, then maybe you make Mew Beta and like kind of force it, but I don't know. It's really awkward to play. You go so minus, and like DDG is really crazy because it's a chainable, so like it interacts with back row removal really well. Yeah. So yeah, it's a really strong card.
Yeah, it's one of the scariest. S for Striker. I'm just gonna put an X on this right now.
Yeah, it does nothing.
They're not gonna set up their Ray like this, and if they like, they're just not. They can start off with a token, and to start off with the token, they don't really care. And if they set up their back row, they can play as slow as they need to bypass the turn. So there's really no point in DDGing them. I mean, the only scenario where is like they open with a Ray, and the thing is, if they open with a Ray, they're just gonna chain Ray. You chain DDG, they're gonna chain Ray. You're forced to shotgun DDG right away, and then are they gonna summon out the Ray anymore? Probably not. They're gonna take their time. So that's why they get to play around the entire DDG, no problem. Next up, Tri-Brigades versus Ice Dragon's Prison. This is a bad one. It's kind of awful. I tried it against you. It was terrible. I do not recommend it. Okay, if you're playing Drytron though, take their Drolls. Use it as a level 1 body during the end phase, so you don't lock yourself out. Then you can still make Move Beta. That's like my only advice. That's how you capitalize on it. But otherwise, no, it's a terrible card. Invoke Shadow Dog.
It's good if they don't play Almirage, because they go normal summon Alistair, make Magistus Artemis, and that's why you kind of have to like. It just depends on whether or not they play the Almirage, and then against everything else. The Shadow engine is like, it's like kind of fine. It's really good at outing Winda, so I would still put it in. Yeah, so those are my two. It's like a nice Winda out. And of course, like, it can stop the Alistair. Yeah, just be aware on their link one.
I love this card. If I was talking about Dinosaur, I'd be like, yeah, you know, when if they don't read into this card, Just look how Sam died in my match against
him. You're supposed to like. That's why like the best like Dino players always just go like miss as the first thing they do. Just because it plays around like IDP. Your normal Oviraptor chain like miss chain IDP is just like game.
It's game. Or like when you activate Misk and then they chain IDP, you're so dead. You lose both Misk and Oviraptor, and now Misk goes live and like you have no body left.
Yeah, it's so bad.
But add Ignister versus IDP, your whole board is Cybers.
I mean,
but can you follow?
Whole deck is Cybers.
Can you play through?
You can play. Yes. So the best way to play through IDP is you actually hold the quick play spell. It's a quick play monster reborn. So you just hold it for the IDP. It's very playable. But it's like still like good. It's not bad. It just depends. If they read into this card, they can play around it. Especially if you have access to other spells already within the Ignister deck, then like you can just search the quick play spell, which is gaining a lot of popularity. Like I've been like trying to play more of that card because I think it's really strong. Just be careful about the quick play spell, yeah.
I don't even know the name of the quick play spell.
It's called Idol Reborn. Yep.
Oh, Idol Reborn?
Idol Reborn. Yeah.
Oh, it's
A.I Reborn, yeah. Yeah.
There we go. Beware the quick play spell Idol Reborn, so that's the only interaction they can take away something. Wait.
Yep.
If you reborn your target, like what if you have too many targets in the grave already? Or it doesn't matter because you use it as a follow-up.
Yeah, so like they just go IDP. Oh yeah, you don't use it to
chain.
You don't use the reborn usually to combo. You can combo without it. You just search it as an additional card. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you do it on their end phase and then you just plus on their turn.
I'm gonna put it. Okay, I'm gonna put X because this is most of the Drytron cards can't be hit, but you do have the fairy stuff that you can use.
Yeah, the fairy stuff is really nice.
It's mainly for the fairy stuff, but again, your main fairy that you're hitting is Diviner because that's the only one that's truly open. So it's mainly for Diviner.
Yep. And if you guys who don't know, if ritual monsters are properly summoned, you can IDP them back. But if they weren't properly ritual summoned, they cannot. So that's something to keep in mind. If they summon like Iditen is now IDPable, so it can trade really well into like Diviner, etc., etc. So.
Oh, there is one monster you can revive. That
Mu Beta.
Mu Beta. Mu Beta is the one card that you can use. But again, your target, like if you're trying to disrupt them mid combo, you're not going to. Those guys are not in the board. The first normal summon is going to be the Diviner. And that is not an opportunity, which is why it's still bad because where you want to stop Drytron is you don't want them to develop
as early as possible. Yeah, early as possible. Yeah, so they get way too much advantage early on.
That's why it still gets the X here. Versus Sky Striker, this one's really awkward because Ray is a warrior. The rest of the dudes or all of her armors, they're all machines.
Are machines? Yeah, so it's like.
It's bad, I guess.
Mean, just think about it. Literally, the deck plays TC Boo, right? Like, so I think that should be good enough.
It's kind of a weird scenario, but if you're using IDB to take out the Ray, that is still worth considering. Because if you're gonna be pushing for game, if they only have one Ray, I would take it. I would for sure just take it. I would take the level 4 body just because there's no cycling.
Yep.
Or if they have two rays,
but
two rays won't work. Two rays won't work. So it's only like only one ray. Only one ray in grave.
Yep.
That's probably the only scenario I would use. Okay, maybe even if they have a rose. The biggest problem is that if they summon out Ray, they can chain Ray, and then there's only a machine left on the board, and now you're gonna put that Ray back in the graveyard for them.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a waste.
It's not great.
Time for some fun here.
This card is insane.
This card with
you should cover it. Yeah.
Gross. Okay, so Epidemic Eradicator Virus requires a 25 or higher dark monster. Well, Tri Brigade can naturally make it, which is why I've sometimes sided this in to deal with spell or trap matchup because it can handle both. And it's pretty gross. Shurig, tributing the Shurig and then adding a card with the Shurig while knocking out all of their spells in their hand on field or all the traps wins you the game, and you get full hand knowledge. So, but using it against Tri Brigade, not that great. Yeah. Because you're only blowing out a couple of spells, and that's it. I mean, you have to shotgun this because every spell they play is like overplayed. So against Tri Brigade, not that great. I mean, you're only really hitting one trap unless you're really end phasing, because this is go first stuff. If you end phase, you see them put up their back row, it's okay because you might be able to hit some solemn stuff in there along the way with the with the revolt.
I agree.
But yeah, but against like all the other decks,
bruh, it's like bruh.
You kind of auto lose. So this one here is kind of minimal. It's only for mainly for traps.
During traps,
trap aggro. I would use it to clear out the traps. And they don't really draw, so you'll know when the trap is there. So you have to be waiting and be patient.
It checks and then destroys the card, right? That's how it works.
It checks and destroys. You get to see their entire hand, and for every card that they draw, you'll have knowledge. Like resolving one of these is always going to be good.
Because I was thinking about like, what if you chain it to like tanky, and then like just destroy the tanky, and it doesn't work. That's why I asked. But okay, cool.
Yeah, you can do that too. You can definitely do that. But again, if they do fetch, because any card that they add to their hand, they get to keep, which means they might be able to keep their revolts and stuff. And taking away revolts takes away their interaction, which could be a very, very big plus. And this card's also chainable too. So if your deck can spit this guy out, I definitely recommend playing it. I mean, it's definitely worth a try for sure. Don't underestimate this card. Against Shaddoll, you know what? Let's just put a check mark. I don't think.
Yeah, you like always shotgun it. Yeah, and then like the only way they play is like they normal Alistair, and then like search the invocation. But like, I mean, because you almost always shotgun this card, right? Because you wanted to like rip all their spells. But yeah, if they have Alistair, then sure, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
This one against Ignister is not as good as it seems because you can put the field spell back.
You can put the spell back, yeah. So if you guys don't know, this field spell can reset itself from the graveyard, kind of like how Plunders do it. And so you can rip all the spells, but you can set it as long as you have a normal summon to keep playing. Yeah.
Yep. So that's that. Drytrons. Yeah, you don't exactly have that many quick play spells, and if you get your whole hand, bad scenario, their hand's all monster, and they have one of each name. Then you were done with to begin with anyway. But the hitting every single spell card that they have, all the Novas, Meteonis, Fafnir, Potus Prosperity. What more do you want me to hit?
Yeah, on average, like they play around 15 spells in the deck. So if you hit like even on an average hand 2 to 3 in their opening hand, like it's very powerful.
Like it makes all your hand traps that much better because they've lost maybe about 2 to 3 follow-ups, and one hand trap could actually completely end their entire turn at that point. Against Striker, I'm just gonna put a big fat check here because
I mean,
you gotta be. There is an iffy point in this one. There is a slightly iffy point. I'll put an exclamation mark. This is
it's like basically you're talking about engage, right?
Yep. If they have engage, it becomes a problem if you blow up the engage in their hand and they have array,
a name,
and worse yet, not just Ray, but if they have Hornet drones, they'll chain the Hornet drones just to summon out the token. They go into Kagari, add back the card, and you like sure they are not able to get the draw effect off of Ray. I mean, they can choose to get it anyway. It'll get blown up because it is a draw effect, but they're not dead yet. And Sky Striker with that many spells in the graveyard, they can try to grind through you with Kaina. They will try. They will try, and that's where the hand traps come in the hand trap part, guys. So make sure you guys go watch that video too. So that's the scenario. Scenario is that the Kagari comes in. That's the one card you don't want to blow up.
Like if they, I mean, if they open an array plus like 5 spells, then I mean it's solid. But it's, I mean, that also means they get access to like engage for like infinite. So.
Yeah, beware of engage. Beware of Ray.
Beware of Ray.
Beware of Ray. Because, like, if they have Ray on that one, it's hard. I mean, they want to get their searches, but if you blow up, like, the Rhoda and stuff like that, it feels really good.
Yeah.
This one's kind of... I wasn't really considering putting Triple Tactics Talents in here as something you go first with, but you are going to get hand trapped a lot this format, and you're going to get Tactics at some point.
I mean... This is like another plug for the hand trap guide, but if you watch the hand trap guide video, you'll see that like, bro, like every hand trap is like somewhat relevant in like X matchup, and it's really a hand trap format. So like, if that's the case, then I think tactics is just across the board good for every deck that you see here. Like, weirdly enough.
Yep.
Right, because it's not even dependent on the deck. It's like dependent on the format. And in a format where people are playing like freaking 12 plus hand traps in main decks. Yeah. That's like a why people happy for the people in the chat. That's a why check happy, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, literally, like, I mean, I love this card. I main deck that card in my Ignister deck, and bro, it is so broken.
It pays off.
It is so crazy.
Absolutely,
yeah, it's so ridiculous. Off. Even going second, like sometimes you can just snatch steal their Appaloosa and just game too. Negate all the hand traps for the rest. So it's like nuts. Yeah.
No, that's some smart playing. Now the solemn counter traps. This is
including strike and like all that good stuff.
Includes strike, warning, and I guess solemn judgment.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into scolding.
I would say Solemn Judgment is like pretty solid. Strike is pretty solid in decks like Brigades. It's like they're super like mid-rangey, so like those type of traps that also warrants removal is like really strong. I like the card. I like it a lot.
Solemn is kind of weird. Yeah. Beware of Meltdown. Don't negate the fusion spells.
Yeah.
But you can use it to stop I'm not sure if it's worth it, but sometimes I consider if I have enough stuff to end the turn short, like leaving them with no monsters from the extra deck for like guarantee. Like I know that I can stop the invocation and I can stop the initial body. Then I let them summon out their Alistair. I let them link it off, and then when I link it off, I'll strike off the monster, and then I'll follow up with like the stopping of the invocation. That will turn off the Dogmatica stuff because they don't have a body on board left. They have basically nothing left at that point. The Shaddoll engine's not even started. That's a double hand trap play. It's a strike plus hand trap play that you can consider. Yeah, that will end their turn. That doesn't give them any type of setup. It's really greedy because if they have a follow up of any kind,
you get super punished.
You get super punished, but it is like a high risk, high reward kind of scenario. If you can,
I would Solemn Judgment. If they go Meltdown, add like Alistair, I'm Solemn Judgmenting the Alistair normal summon like every time. It's just way too scary, and if they hard you invocation, they still need a light, right? So like it's like really difficult.
It's kind of iffy. I'll put a dash on this one because like it's just because there's just ways for them to play around it. But it's mainly for Alistair.
Strike is really good though. Yeah, Strike is really good into the matchup. I think striking Alistair is like very powerful. Any card that removes the body as well for like the Shaddoll Invoke deck is really nice.
This is the Strike Alistair. Everyone else, situational. It really depends on what they have. You can try to hit the Ecclesia to kill some follow up, and it can be a mid game one as well. It's still worth it. Just beware. Like for other solemn stuff, just beware of Meltdown because you will scoop the game so fast that you just wasted your entire card. Why bother siding at that point? At Ignister, you are a link-based deck, and how important is the body?
Wait, so like we're talking here about how Solemns are getting against Ignisters?
Yes.
Wait, you want to know the craziest thing? Okay, so so this past weekend I played in the finals of the Giant card for Diviner actually, and I lost the roll against Pure Zoo. He had double Solemn Judgment, Dryden, Veiler, and another Zoo in his hand, and I killed him through it. So like I think the card is really good. You just gotta know where to Solemn Judgment. Because he Solemn Judgment my mining and Solemn Judgment my normal summon, but I had the Reborn to keep playing, and that was enough to win the game.
Why?
But
what are you supposed to hit? I think I would personally go for the link monsters that come out when you link summon, because you can't revive them anymore.
No, you can't revive it anymore. Yeah, he Judgment the normal summon of the monster, but if you Judgment the like the links, like it's very powerful. Like especially like you can Judgment the Arrival, you can Judgment like Transco Talker. Like there's so many.
Oh, you paused for a second.
Oh no.
You're back.
I'm like lagging.
Okay, so we're gonna hit on the Ignister, or basically link monsters.
Any links, any of the link monsters that they summon. Yep.
It's a summon negator. You should use it as a summon negator rather than normals. Sorry, don't hit stuff that they can revive. And okay, Solemn versus Drytrons. It's
Mu
good against
beta, right?
Mu beta. I think it's just. I think really it's just Mu beta and sometimes Diviner if you can negate them.
Yes.
Those two. Those are the two main ones.
You have if you have Solemn Judgment, you have to Judgment the summon of Diviner. They just send Intis and pop the back row. And then like if you have the only thing is too, don't strike the summon of Mu beta, strike the effect guys because they can make another one. Like Gamma just gets them there by itself, right? So
it's
just be careful.
Good. I don't know if I want to give it. I'll put an exclamation mark on it just because it's just Diviner for sure. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's just because Intis is a very strong card. That's why.
Is it Intis?
Like and there's like no other good Judgment spots really. So
yeah, and it's Mu beta summon. Not summon. Sorry, not summon. Effect. Effect. Yeah. It's really easy for us to make a second one.
It's very easy. You get heavy punished. Also, guys, whatever you do, don't Solemn Judgment, Cyber Emergency. I literally saw that happen at a regional I went to, and I was like, how? And the person just went, Cyber Emergency effect, discard add back. I'm like, all right, I'm out. I had to get up and leave after that. I couldn't watch the rest of the match. I was like, I'm out.
That's such a big throw. That's a throw.
Yeah, I was like, wow, you just paid 4K for free. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's why no one uses their Dragoon to negate the emergency. You know that player is bad if they negate the emergency like that.
Yeah.
With a Dragoon.
Like,
I mean, you just threw your Dragoon into the trash at that point.
Yeah,
a 4K Dragoon is no problem. We like Drytrons, they can just crash into it if they wanted to, and they'll just revive the Dragoon right after. It doesn't bother them one bit.
Yep.
That's why it doesn't matter if you put it to 4K. And Striker, okay, for Striker.
Oh, it's solid.
Yeah,
it's great.
Just.
But they can play around it. I don't know. I've seen like really good Striker players play around Solemn Judgment, and then like, because like the Striker engine has a lot of good removal, right? So
yes. So. One of the scariest card is that Strike is not as effective because it can't really negate spells and traps. And even for spells and traps, like if they go into multi-roll, your solemn stuff isn't going to work anymore because you can't respond to it anymore. And that means you're losing your back row. So, but Strike is really good for hitting stuff like there's just Ray reviving out of the graveyard. You can strike that. That's usually pretty solid, especially when they're relying on it. You can strike a lot of the monsters that come out, like Kagari. Kagari is always a great one. However, due to the rule change now, since you're only allowed to special summon a second one, you can summon a second one now. This is different from before. As before, if you got striked, you attempted the summon of the card, it counts. Now it counts as you didn't do it. That's the huge difference here. So they can go again. So that's why Strike is not as strong in 2021 versus like 2018. But huge difference there. All right.
The other thing is like if you like knowing this and you try to strike the effect, it's like, well, they just Ray effect, right? So it's like feels bad, man.
Yeah. Just be careful. All right. Yeah. You don't want to throw games away like that. But there are good points on it, especially when well, Ray can't activate the effect if you're negating the summon, which is great because it's not on the board. It's not on the board. You can still get rid of it, which is great because the body doesn't float at that point. So hitting Shizuku end phase, that's always a good one. Stops the body, no body, and no additional search. Kagari is kind of like a weird one, I would say, but you should probably hit the link monsters as much as you can. But
if they have like Hornet drones or they have multi-roll into the A0, if they have Rose and they have a normal summon, there's multiple ways. Like even in the mirror match, they can literally shark cannon your Kagari. Even if you strike their Kagari, they can shark cannon your Kagari, get the effect. Like it just it's nuts.
Yeah, I think these are the ones. Now, some people get kind of greedy from time to time. I mean, I would be greedy if I had both Area 0 and Ray. You bet your ass I'm going to do the chain to get the additional card here. So
I don't think you ever do that going second. That's like ballsy.
Yeah,
like the back row.
It is.
That's crazy.
It is super ballsy. But just beware of that. And again, Hand Trap will talk more about that, so you can check out the previous one. I think that's it for this particular video. Thank you guys for watching. Go check out Pack. We have a part 3 coming up. That's for stuff going second It is quite interesting, guys. I mean, this is what if you're going first, I'm guessing you lost. So this is if you lost. But what if you won? What do you use to secure the match? Go check out Pac's channel. That's going to be uploaded onto his channel, and I'll link it down in the description. So stay tuned for that as well. And this is mainly to help you guys do well in your upcoming YCS.
Yes.
So hit subscribe.
If you guys enjoyed this,
subscribe.
Let's go.
Subscribe. Ding notification bell, and I guess we'll see you at Pack side.